Hey guys, just wanted to upload a short video on Rosemont, and I found this when I was doing a little research on the Kanika Jenkins case, and it's from the BGA, which I was not familiar with, but I got familiar with it real quick, and it's the Better Government Association, and they have a website, www.bettergov.org, and I'm going to let President and CEO Andy Shaw tell you who they are and what they do in this roughly 1 minute video.
I'm Andy Shaw, President and CEO of the Better Government Association, and we're watching. We're shining a light on government, and we're holding public officials accountable because better government is our right and their responsibility. These are our tax dollars, not theirs, and they have to be spent honestly, efficiently, accountably, and transparently. It is simply intolerable for public officials to reward themselves, their friends, and their cronies through waste, fraud, inefficiency, nepotism, patronage, padded payrolls, padded contracts, etc., etc. That makes up the corruption tax that we can't afford to pay. And that's why we are investigating, we're litigating, we're educating, and we're advocating for the better government that we deserve. So join the fight and let's make good government a reality.
Okay, so he told us who they were and what they're all about. They're basically a watchdog group for government. And why they're important in this is because they actually sued Rosemont in 2015. And this actually comes from their website also. They have their contacts listed. And it says the Village of Rosemont has tried to polish its public image since the 2007 death of controversial old school mayor Donald E. Stevens. But the way the tiny, politically powerful northwest suburb handled a recent request for public records was anything but progressive. When the Better Government Association asked Rosemont's municipal government for copies of contracts related to entertainment venues operated by the village, in particular the Allstate Arena and the convention center named after the late mayor, the village refused to release revenue and other financial information. The village indicated it didn't have to release such information, claiming a local ordinance, which was passed by the village board in 2014, in an apparent attempt to specifically shield such data from disclosure, trumps the Illinois Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, the state law requiring government agencies to turn over all public records, except in limited circumstances, to members of the public and press upon request. The village, now led by Stevens' son, Bradley Stevens, also claimed it didn't have to turn over such financial information because it constituted trade secrets. This is beyond ridiculous. That's a quote from the man we just watched in the video. Excuse me. Towns can't pick and choose what to release to the public. State law is clear on this. What is Rosemont trying to hide, and what happened to their new progressive era of leadership there? When will government learn it is a private business? It is not a private business. It's supposed to be responsive to the public, Shaw added. Those entertainment venues are taxpayer facilities. How can taxpayers adequately gauge how well government is operating if nobody can see the books? The lawsuit was filed Thursday, January 22nd, 2015 in Cook County Circuit Court. This is just the latest transparency-oriented complaint filed by the BGA, which views FOIA as an essential tool for the public to keep watch over local government. Here's a link to other BGA legal actions. Okay. Well, I wanted to know what happened with that lawsuit, so I went and researched it. And also, on their website, they had the result. And they got a ruling in their favor, which was good news. And the ruling, or actually the article, was from June 29th, 2017. So some 2 years later, roughly, a little less than that. It says, ruling in BGA suit bars towns from writing their own transparency rules. And there's actually a copy of the order or opinion from the judge. The article says, excuse me, In a significant decision that reinforces transparency rules for local governments, the Illinois Appellate Court has barred larger municipalities in the state from leveraging special powers granted them under the Illinois Constitution to run open records law. The decision, coming in a case brought by the BGA against the suburb of Rosemont, makes clear that municipalities are not free to make their own rules about what they are legally bound to disclose under the FOIA Act. Only state statutes may create additional restrictions on disclosure of information, the court wrote in its ruling, which affirmed a lower court decision invalidating a village's ordinance that sought to carve out Rosemont-specific exceptions to open records law that allowed it to keep secret information about certain financial transactions. The principle upheld by the appellate court has the power to extend beyond Rosemont and apply to all 214 so-called home rule units in Illinois, the largest of which is Chicago. The state constitution grants greater latitude in governing to home rule municipalities, including the power to regulate public health issues, safety, and welfare. It goes on to say that when they filed their suit in 2015 because Rosemont refused to release the financial and revenue figures in their contracts. And Rosemont argued that in 2014 they had a little meeting there, and they decided to pass a little ordinance that said they didn't have to because they were going to call them trade secrets. But the judge ruled that that was not going to work, and it basically boiled down to something regarding a concert or something that was held with Garth Brooks at Allstate Arena in 2014. And Rosemont eventually did release more information in that case and disclosed that it paid Garth Brooks $1 million to open his tour in the town located on the edge of O'Hare International Airport. The appellate court concluded that Rosemont's attempt at legislating exceptions to open records law was a direct assault on transparency. By Rosemont's logic, the court said, the public disclosure of information in the possession of a home rule unit would be largely at the unfettered discretion of that body. This would derogate the purpose of both the state and federal Freedom of Information Act. So basically, their logic in it, Rosemont's logic was, they don't really have to do anything. Because they passed an ordinance in their small, tiny little section of the suburb that said they didn't have to. And once again, there's the opinion from the Appellate Court of Illinois in its entirety, 16 pages. And it's pretty interesting. So I actually went through and read that. But I thought this was interesting because it just shows their complete disregard for having to release things through FOIA. And that they think that they can go into a meeting behind closed doors and pass ordinances that doesn't make them do anything. And they were going to try to rely on that, and would have had the BGA not sued them. So thank God for the BGA. So it makes you wonder, when people do submit a FOIA request, are they releasing everything they have? I've often wondered that. So anywho, I found that article interesting and wanted to share it so that you guys would have a clue what was going on there in Rosemont and why everything is suspect there. Knowledge is definitely power in this instance. And you guys have a good day. I'll try to get some more vids uploaded soon. I have quite a few, but just wanted to get this one out. Thanks, guys.